Good day and welcome Canossians! At ito na ang pinakaunang episode ng Canossian Heartbeat, where your story is our lifeline. I am 𝐷𝐿 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿.
At ako naman si 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿 Romero mula kami sa Radio Broadcasting Team, and we are your hosts para sa episode na ito. So partner, bago tayo magsimula, ano nga ba yung Canossian Heartbeat?
So Canossian Heartbeat is a podcast made in hopes of uniting the Canossian community amidst this pandemic and start meaningful Canossian conversations. And makipagchikahan tayo sa mga Canossians natin. But before anything else, at bago namin i-introduce ang ating mga speakers for today, partner 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿, kamusta ka naman this day or kung ano man ang gusto mong i-share sa amin?
Ayan, so actually as of time of recording, exam day tayo ngayon. Medyo naging mahirap lang kaninang umaga kasi syempre math, pero lumalaban pa rin, and hopefully yung mga Canossians natin ay okay lang ang academics nila ngayon. So ikaw naman partner, kamusta ka?
Partner, grabe, wala pa akong tulog since 3 in the morning kasi kinailangan ko mag-adjust sa PH time. Ayun din, exams. Nahirapan lang ako sa mahabang essay. Ito ba talaga ang �K𝐚𝐧𝐸 life? Well, ayun lang naman for today. And atin nang simulan ang pag-introduce sa ating guests for today. 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿, pakilala mo naman ang ating unang guest speaker.
Alright, sige. So, isa sa ating mga kasamang guest ngayong araw ay currently siya ang president ng Canossa College Student Council, and before becoming the council's president, she was a class PRO last school year, and she is also an active Girl Scout member, being the Girl Scouts San Pablo City PIO last 2018. She was our school's Girl Scout representative in the academic year 2020 to 2021. Back in 2018, she was the secretary of the Liceo de San Pablo Girl Scouts and soon assumed as the president the following year. Following her contribution to the community and the heartfelt service, she became a Chief Girl Scout medalist the same year. She was also the school representative for the Liceo de San Pablo Supreme Student Government during her last year of junior high school.
Yes naman, mukhang talagang palaban ng ating CCSC president kung sino man nga ba siya. Our other guest for today, the incumbent Student Council Student Welfare and Development Chairperson, already planted in this line of service in her early years. She served the student body since grade school and soon became the Student Council grade school president. Wow, maging president na siya. She received the Best SIL Member Batang Lakasa Leadership Award in 2018, a recognition deserving of her astounding servant leadership. But hindi daw natigil dito ang kanyang pagsaserbisyo. She continued to become a student council member during her junior high school years. She became the grade 7 level representative, the social-cultural committee chairperson when she was a grade 8 student, and a core student council member last year despite the sudden change in the education system. Ito yung online distance learning na tayo. And she is also an active Girl Scout member as well as to other organizations in and out of school. She is currently a radio broadcasting member. Yan, kasama namin siya ni 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿. Isa coalition policy member, Cebol Alaminos Youth Engagement member, Girl Scouts of the Philippines member, and the Secretariat Director of Kalikasan Pablo. They are really seeking to protect and preserve each and every Canossian's rights. And now it's time for us to hear the voices behind these people who amplify silent voices. Let us welcome 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿 Abasilia and Leslie Magdame. 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿, can you say hi for us?
Hello. Magandang hapon, Pusong Canossians. I hope you're doing well.
Hello, 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿 and Leslie Magdame, our CCSC president. Can you say hi to our Canossians?
Hello, I'm Leslie. Yeah.
Yan, I'm Leslie.
Ayan, hello Ate Leslie and Hazel. So, kami nasasayahan at kasama namin kayo ngayon. At hopefully, after this discussion, maraming matututunan ng ating mga Canossians, di ba? So, let's get to it. So, ito ang first question. What or who made you want to become a leader? So, ano yung bakit nyo? So, why are you serving and why did you decide to become a leader? Siguro we can start with Hazel.
So, ayan, ang ganda naman ng tanong, ano daw ang bakit ko para sa pagiging leader? So, I think becoming a leader is one of my lifelong goals nung una. Kasi I actually remember attending a leadership training nung grade 1 ako. And when I was asked kung bakit ako sumali dun sa leadership training na yun, I answered, I want to change the world. And ngayon na I am older, I admire my younger self for leading me to who I am today. Kasi as we know, changing the world is something na napakalaking dream para sa isang bata na grade 1 pa lang. But as far as I remember, I always questioned yung mga systems natin before na kung bakit ganito, bakit ba ganyan yung nangyayari, ganun. And becoming a leader is probably an outcome of my urge to make a change and out of my curiosity na din as a kid. And bukod pa dito, yung mga sister ko is dating student council. Kaya I always heard kung paano naaalala ng mga tao yung mga legacy na naiwan nila. Kaya nung time na nag-open yung Canossian College ng membership for student council nung grade 3 ako, I applied agad para maituloy ko yung dream ko to make a change and to follow the footsteps of my sister din.
Ayan, so change the world. So napaka-inspiring naman ng sagot na yun, Hazel. So how about naman kay Ate Leslie?
Hello. Nung una, I'm not into it talaga kasi nahihiya ako, ganun. Eh nung nagsimula yun nung sumali ako sa Girl Scout, di yun, nakakasama-sama ako. Tapos nag-enjoy ako, ganun. Tapos nung mga junior high school, ayun, sumali na ako doon. Kasi na-inspire din ako na nung sa ginagawa ng iba at gusto ko din makahelp sa students and sa school. Ayun.
And so thank you very much, Hazel and Leslie, for asking our very first question. Now let us proceed. So ito namin tanong natin, susunod, what traits do you possess that makes you qualified to be? Ano nga ba anong meron sa isang Hazel at isang Leslie at sila ay naging qualified to become a leader? Leslie, I think ikaw muna yung mag-start.
Siyempre, yung una, yung tiwala sa sarili mo. Tapos, pangalawa, yung tapang at lakas ng loob. Dahil ito yung magpupusya na ikaw yung isang bagay. Tapos, yung tiwala sa sarili mo, kailangan mong maniwala ka sa sarili mo kakayahan. Huwag kang maniniwala sa sinasabi ng iba.
Yes, that's very insightful. Talaga namang we have to trust in ourselves kasi everything starts within us. Ayan. So, Hazel, ikaw naman, what traits do you possess that makes you qualified to be a leader?
So, para naman sa akin, sa point of view ko, wala talagang exact standard para maging leader ka. Pero, isa na dito yung mga purpose at prinsipyo mo na din. And leadership is something that you need to explore para malaman mo kung saan ka ba nararapat or sa terms ng iba, kung ano yung calling mo. So, for me, ang prinsipyo ko before is to follow the rules, kahit pa anong rules yan, basta nasa handbook or nasa laws natin, susundin ko and I will try my best to help you implement it. Pero since the start of the pandemic, I realized na parang hindi naman siya mali, pero like hindi pala yun yung gusto ko na leadership. Kasi kahit importante ang disiplina, it doesn't mean that you should impose everything to someone na iba sa prinsipyo mo. Kaya I strive hard to be a leader that empowers people, specifically the youth or yung kabataan. And now I can say na isang trait na meron ako is to be adaptable to changes and of course to be open to improvements. And only then, I was able to find the fulfillment of a leader wherein he, she, or they are able to create changes with the people and for the people, not for their own good or sa nakakataas lamang.
Ayan, so solid answers galing kay Hazel and Ate Leslie. So definitely kailangan natin na maniwala sa sarili and at the same time yung principles talaga, like Hazel mentioned. So ngayon, siguro ang laging tinatanong sa inyo since you're a student but you're also a leader. So as a student leader, paano nyo ba na may maintain na may ACADS kayo pero may org works pa rin? So, how do you maintain your studies? How do you maintain your studies while also making a difference for your fellow youth? So, siguro, let's start with Hazel.
So, ayan. Share ko lang yung inside joke namin sa mga org people na org spurs. Pero like, yung totoo talaga, alam kong gasgas na yung word na time management. Pero ayun lang talaga yung sagot. Kasi, para sa amin, nung face-to-face, minsan I had to choose kung magpapa-excuse na lang ba ako sa klase pag may overlapping schedule. And it was really hard for me as someone na academically inclined din and ayoko makamiss out ng lessons. Pero I met someone na parang sabi sa akin, yung mga orgs naman makakatulong sa'yo para matuto ka. And I was able to come to a realization na, oo nga no, super dami ko natututunan sa orgs ko, lalo na sa CCSE. Katulad na lang nung halimbawa, paggawa ng proposal at letter, I was able to learn it through CCSE. And yung, syempre, pag-develop ng skills sa pag-imik and pag-compose ng news and mga article na tutunan ko sa Radio Broad and Newset. And super dami pang iba kasi madami din akong org. And of course, yung mga teachers then played a big role para ma-maintain ko yung studies ko kasi they were very supportive of me. Although minsan napapagalitan ako kasi lagi akong wala. Pero they were always willing to provide me a copy of the lesson naman. And for my classmates, they also shared their notes with me kaya I was still able to cope up. Tapos nagkaroon ng pandemic and everything was almost online. And mostly naman sa mga org people ay students din like me. Kaya we really set our meetings or brainstormings ng gabi. Kaya ayun, you just have to finish some of the schoolworks ng hapon or during health breaks para makapag-org works ka sa gabi. And of course, making changes for the youth can be overwhelming talaga. And kung sino man yung nag-send ng question na to, I hope you will not be too overwhelmed and just take one step at a time. And try to find the most convenient time for your orgs and of course for ACADS. Kaya padayon, bestie.
Thank you, Hazel. So, time management talaga. So, we really have to cope up with our academics. So, no choice tayo bilang student. So, thank you, Hazel. How about kay Ate Leslie? How do you manage your time and maintain your studies?
Hello, ganun din for having a time management at disiplina sa sarili. Ito ay isa sa pinaka-importanting meron tayo at dapat marunong tayo mag-manage ng oras natin. Halimbawa na lamang magkakaroon tayo na schedule ng gagawin natin pero syempre kailangan nating pairalin ng disiplina to make it. Basta meron ka nito, you can do things na hindi ka masistress sa mga bagay-bagay.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Leslie. I mean, para sa mga din silang sinabi ni Hazel na kailangan natin pairalin yung time management natin, pero kailangan din natin ng tamang disiplina. At kayang-kaya naman natin yung mga multitasking na yan. Sabi nga ni Hazel, padayon, bestie. So for the next question, bakit kayo nagpapatuloy na maging isang leader kahit meron kayong mga challenges and setbacks? Again, why do you continue to become a leader despite challenges and setbacks? Okay, so to answer this question, let us first have Leslie.
Hello, ayun. This is a short story of mine ulit. This grade 12 na naman ko magkaroon ng election for CCSE. So yun, parang gusto kong ulit, tumakbo, ganon. But my parents won't allow me to run as an officer because of my mental illness. I also consider their point kung bakit ayaw nila. Pero hindi naging hadlang yon kasi parang gusto ko talaga yon. Kasi dun sa past school ko, kaya ako umalis kasi parang hindi din ako naka-move on na natalo ako, ganon. So yon, pinaglaban kong kaya ko dahil yun yung ginagawa ko dati bago magka-pandemic at doon ako nag-e-enjoy. Tapos sa leadership, nabuboost yung confidence ko to face other people without being shy. At kung nag-settle man ako sa, sige, wag na, hindi na ako tatakbo, ganon. Wala ako rito sa harapan nyo ngayon at hindi ako ang president ng CCSE. I love being a leader. Lagi ko itong pipiliin hanggat kaya ko. Ayun.
Yes naman, Leslie loves being a leader. Talaga namang pag gusto natin ay meron tayong paraan. Yeah. Thank you, Leslie. Let us now move forward to Acel.
Hello. So, I continue to be a leader because I have my purpose. At katulad ng sinabi ko sa kanina, I have my principles. And I experience having to endure yung comments ng ibang tao na for the sake of bringing me down. Although they think na parang makaka-improve yun sa akin. Pero here I am, serving and working hard. And I also experience, katulad ni Ate Leslie, yung magkaroon ng doubt sa sarili ko because of existential crisis and because of fast-paced changes. Or minsan, nagkaroon din ako ng experience na matalo sa elections, pero I know I have my purpose, and kahit naman wala ako ng posisyon na yun is makakapag-serve pa din ako. And of course, I also have my org mates and friends na nakakapagpa-feel sa akin na my service is really needed at kailangan ko magpatuloy para sa kanila at para sa mga taong umaasa sa kakayahan.
Again, so Acel and Ate Leslie, so thank you for sharing paano nyo na-overcome yung mga setbacks. So, syempre, kasi bilang isang leader, we really have to conquer yung mga challenges that we face upang pagpatuloy natin yung mga iba't ibang pinaglalaban natin. So, speaking of pinaglalaban, so ano nga ba ang pinaglalaban nyo, diba? So, as a leader, we would like to ask you guys, what are your advocacies, diba? So, I guess, Acel, can you start sharing your advocacies?
As a student welfare and development chairperson, of course, one of my advocacies is youth empowerment. So, nasabi ko to before nung campaign period ng CCSC. Pero one of my favorite kataga or quote from Jose Rizal is, kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan. So, lagi natin ito naririnig, di ba? And of course, the youth empowerment generally revolves around these words. Kasi tunay nga naman na tayo talaga ang may pinangahawakan. Tayo talaga yung inaasahan ng ating bayan. And we have the skills to think innovatively and the motivation para maayos yung society that we will soon inherit. And of course, sabi nga nila 52% ng population ng Pilipinas ay mga kabataan, at dito pa lamang makikita natin yung tunay na lakas ng ating sigaw at ng hatak ng kabataan para gumawa ng pagbabago para sa ating pamilya, kaibigan, paaralan at pati na rin ng ating bayan. And aside from youth empowerment, I also fight for environmental consciousness and social justice, kasi I believe that these are also very important issues that we need to consider, lalo na ngayon na talamak yung mga isyong ecological sa San Pablo pa lamang at sa buong bansa, at pati na din yung diskriminasyon na rin sa iba't ibang sektor ng ating lipunan.
Ayan, salamat Acel. So definitely, kailangan ma-empower talaga ang mga kabataan. Gaya nga ng sabi mo at sabi ni Rizal, kabataan talaga ang pag-asa ng bayan. So how about si Ate Leslie? What are your advocacies?
Ang naman, encourage young skill development through webinars and workshops, allowing them to find their own profession in the creative sectors. Encourage advocacies, activities, and the generation and distribution of information via the use of evidence-based techniques. Pwede din makipag-partnerships with other organizations that can help to strengthen the participants' relationships, cooperation, and collaborations. Ayan.
Yan. So, nabanggit nga ni Leslie na ang kanyang advocacy daw ay makapag-encourage pa ng mga iba pang mga advokasya. And thank you so much, Acel and Leslie. For our next question, ito, do you think advocacy is something that should be given more attention to? Kailangan pa ba nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang advokasya, and how can we give more attention to them? So, Leslie, I think you can give this a go.
Yan. Para sa akin, mahalagang pagtuunan yung youth empowerment. Since sabi nga ni Dr. Jose Rizal na sinabi ni Acel kanina na the youth are the hope of the future. So, mahalaga habang bata pa, ma-empower na tayong mga youth na magte-take ng initiatives and become aware sa kung anong issue or kung anong need ng action sa society. Mas complex and mas malawak yung skills natin kasi sa other generation or adult, kasi ang dami ng interventions ngayon like social media, ganun. So for me, need pagtuunan ng pansin ang youth empowerment para they can utilize yung capabilities natin for our society and to prove na din na pag empowered na ang mga youth, may concrete action na tayo na magagawa para sa society. Ayun.
So, sabi nga ni Leslie, nag-a-agree daw siya sa statement ni 𝐂𝐴 na ang kabataan nga ay ang pag-asa ng bayan. Tapos sinabi niya rin na mahalaga na nga daw na bata pa tayo ay meron na daw tayong initiatives. And we definitely agree to that. So, next one naman na sasagot ay si 𝐂𝐴.
So, para sa akin, yung advocacy is very important, lalo na para sa ating mga kabataan. And we always ask why. Why should I do this? Why should I write this? Bakit kailangan ko ito tapusin? And para sa akin, pag nahanap mo na yung advocacy mo, yun yung may isagot mo sa mga why mo. And from there, baka may mga ideas na mag-root mula sa why mo na baka maaaring makatulong sa'yo para ipaglaban kung ano yung nakikita mong nararapat. And of course, to give attention to your advocacy, you have to explore different situations. And if you look closely, super daming advocacy na pwede mo kong ipaglaban, lalo na sa panahon ngayon, na super dami natin pinoproblema sa mundo. And now, if you work with people to lessen more of the problem na ipinaglalaban mo, that is already giving attention to your advocacy. Actually, to be aware of your advocacy is already giving attention kung ano yung pinaglalaban mo. And if you attend a webinar related to your advocacy and pinakalat mo or pinaalam mo din yun sa ibang mga tao na wala pang masyadong awareness about that, that is already giving focus sa iyong advocacy. And of course, you're doing a very good job kung nagagawa mo na to. And if you haven't yet, this is the sign para simulan mo na kung ano yung mga pwede mo magawa para sa iyong ipinaglalaban.
Ayan, salamat Hazel and Ate Leslie for sharing kung paano ba natin mas mabibigyang attention pa yung iba't ibang mga advocacy natin. So, importante na ibahagi natin yung kaalaman natin sa iba. Sa gayon ay magkaroon pa ng aksyon na madamihan, di ba? So, ngayon, we would like to ask you guys, so, ano naging inspirasyon nyo kung bakit kayo, why are you advocating for these different advocacies? So, what inspired you or motivated you to become a youth advocate? So I guess we can start with 𝐂𝐴.
So para sa akin, I became a youth advocate because of my own experiences. I experienced being silenced dahil lang mas bata ako, or yung mga hindi ko ma-explain yung side ko because I was scared na baka hindi naman nila maintindihan, or baka in the worst case scenario hindi nila pakinggan. And because of the people who empowered me, I was able to become more vocal like the person I am today, although masyado ata ako madaldal. But anyway, back to the point, I became a youth advocate because I no longer want the youth to feel the same way as I did before. I no longer want them to feel or hear na bata ka lang. Dahil sa totoo, ikaw naman talaga ay isang bata na may magagawa para sa iyong kinasasakupan. And of course, ngayong election 2022, madami din tayo naririnig na bata ka pa lang, bakit ka nag-voice out about this? And it is also one of the reasons why I became a youth advocate, because naniniwala ako na tayo mga kabataan may karapatan tayo mag-voice out kahit hindi tayo nakakaboto, because we are also affected by the same choices that the adults do, or the adults choose, ganun.
Yan. So, sabi ni 𝐂𝐴, it's a big no-no kapag sinabi sa'yo na bata ka lang naman. Dahil, siguro, you may be kids, but meron tayong maggagawa para sa ating kinasasakupan. Ayan. Thank you, 𝐂𝐴. And next up, Leslie.
Dun sa mga taong binibigyan ng pansin yung youth at kinikilala kung anong kaya nila at kung ano sila, at binibigyan ng boses ang mga kabataan.
Okay, so thank you, Leslie and 𝐂𝐴, for answering that question. And next up, what can you consider as your greatest accomplishment as a youth advocate? Again, what can you consider as your greatest accomplishment as a youth advocate? Leslie, I think you can give us a start.
So, yung akin, yung nakikita ko yung mga pinupush ko dati na nahihiya daw sila, parang di daw nila kaya maging leader. Tapos nakikita ko sila ngayon, tapos nagpapa-thank you din sila ngayon kasi yung nandun na sila sa position nila, yung parang student council na din sila, tapos kasali na din sila sa Girl Scout, officer na din sila sa Girl Scout. Ayun.
Thank you, Leslie. And ang next naman na sasagot ay si 𝐂𝐴. Ano ang iyong greatest accomplishment as a youth advocate?
I think my greatest accomplishment as a youth advocate is yet to be achieved kasi wala pa talaga akong grand achievement na pwede kong i-highlight sa journey ko as a youth advocate. Pero some of my accomplishments today since being a youth advocate is yung pagbuo ng bylaws ng CCSC kasama si Kuya Jed kasi it's my first time drafting something like that. At syempre, kasama din namin yung ibang counselors and although summertime namin siya ginawa, it gave me a sense of responsibility and parang bumalik dun sa responsibility ko bilang CCSC kahit pandemic. And bukod pa doon, we also help in organizing multiple events na of course naka-receive naman ng positive feedbacks katulad na lang din ng orientation wherein I think madaming nasayahan nun kasi nabasa ko yung evaluation, super positive ng feedback. And I was really happy na we are able to craft some of those events na na-appreciate ng aming mga fellow Canossians. And of course, it also gave me a lot of fulfillment kasi it was based from the opinion of fellow youth advocates or fellow youth na mga Canossiana din. And it also brought them joy sa time ng pandemya.
Alright, so Ate Leslie and Hazel, thank you for sharing your accomplishments as a youth advocate. So sobrang inspiring niya and I know na beyond this, you guys would also be achieving more and creating bigger impacts as time goes by. So ngayon, ano ba yung mga ongoing projects or initiatives nyo sa student council or sa organizations naman na ginagawa nyo ngayon? So what are your ongoing projects and initiatives? So I guess we can start with Hazel.
So, para sa mga ongoing projects and initiatives ko as a CCSC Student Welfare and Development Chairperson, nagkaroon na kami ng 3 launching ng RACE project, which is isa doon is nagkaroon ng position paper, which kumbaga ang content niya is about the health break and also academic needs. And we are also crafting 2 other position papers for the 2 launchings na kaka-close lang actually no Feb 28. And we will also be opening it again as soon as possible and pag na-approve na ulit yung proposal. And isa pa dito is yung advocacy survey kasama yung PAAC in preparation of the upcoming Advocacy Month. And we also had a collaboration with the HRC and Devil Revs for career awareness, which is ng Feb 18 wherein ako yung nag-host. And then sa March 7 naman, March 9 for the grade 10 and 11 students. And of course, meron din kaming mga ibang events with the assistance of CCSC na tumulong kami in case of kailangan ng MCs or technicals or kailangan lang ng mga assistants. And of course, meron pang ibang projects soon. So, sa other orgs outside Canossa and outside CCSC, meron kami ngayong Green Flag Coalition wherein kasama ko yung ibang Canossians na nag-spearhead ng project na to. And you can help us by signing change.org/greenflagagenda wherein capital bawat unang letter ng kada word. And we have 10 orgs under this project. And we are also planning to coordinate with other SKs and other officials para mapasign yung petition and magkaroon ng environmental platforms sa upcoming election. And other than that, meron pang iba pero you can check the pages of my orgs na lang. So, ayun. Thank you.
Ayan, salamat Hazel for sharing your ongoing projects and initiatives. So, kitang-kita naman yung iba't ibang activities na ginagawa nyo, especially sa student and welfare development.
Ayan, so ito na yung ating last question for this episode. What advice can you give for the aspiring youth leaders? Ano daw ang advice na maibibigay nyo sa mga gustong maging youth leaders din katulad mo? Okay, Leslie, can you give it a start?
Hello, just follow your heart and huwag kayong mahihiya kung iniisip nyo na wala kayong experience sa leadership or hindi nyo alam kung paano mag-handle. As I said before, nung election pa, leadership can be learned through observation, interaction, and experience. At kung may nang-down sa inyo, sinasabihin kayo ng bida-bida kayo, ganun. Hindi nyo always remember na that God always find a way to lift you up. Ayun.
Thank you, Leslie. Sabi niya, ang leadership daw ay natututunan na. And there's a lot more room for you guys to to grow as youth leaders. Yan. Next, Aisel, ano ang mabibigay mong advice para sa ating aspiring youth leaders?
So, I think yung advice na mabibigay ko for aspiring youth leaders, even at a young age, I'm very proud of you na naiisip nyo to. And my advice is to find your whys and your purpose kung bakit gusto mo maging leader. At always remember na ang pagsaserbisyo ay walang hinihinging kapalit. And of course, it should always be for the people and of the people. And besides pa dito, napaka-importante din na may tiwala ka sa sarili mo, katulad ng sinabi ni Ate Leslie, because being a leader is a very challenging time for you to find yourself. Kaya naman kailangan tapat ka talaga sa prinsipyo mo and alam mo kung ano yung pinaglalaban mo. And of course, do not hesitate to ask for help sa mga fellow kabataan mo na may experiences na, because they have the answers to your questions, lalo na kung halimbawa you have to consult about this issue sa kanila. Do not hesitate to ask them because they will be grateful for it, lalo na kung nagbibuild ka ng inclusive environment sa iyong pinamumunuan or sa iyong council.
Alright, so Isel and Ate Leslie, so thank you for sharing with us your advice to our fellow youth leaders. So sana they'll take it to heart and tayo ay ma-develop as student leaders or youth leaders. So before we end this episode, so maybe you guys have some parting words before we end. So meron ba kayong gustong i-share or gustong ibahagi sa atin before we end? So Isel?
So for my parting words, I want to thank of course yung Pobrel para sa pag-invite sa amin ni Ate Leslie for this first episode ng podcast. And of course, I want to thank the host as well, Ate Shante and Kuya Jed, for making this podcast become more entertaining and more lively. And of course, thank you din sa ating mga moderators and administrators na nag-approve ng project na to. And it was a very meaningful experience for me kasi first time ko nga lang din na mag-record ng podcast. And for my fellow youth naman, or fellow Canossians, I hope that you will always listen to this podcast whenever you have to feel something about leadership or find the motivation about leading people. And of course, katulad nga ng sabi ko kanina, tayo ay mga kabataan na may magagawa para sa ating lipunan. And don't let anyone call you kabataan lang because you are youth na inaasahan ng ating bayan.
Thank you, Aisel. So definitely, inaasahan tayo ng ating bayan. Ate Leslie, how about you? Do you have any final message?
Hello. Ayun, thank you dun sa Pabrel, tapos sa mga teachers, and sa inyo, ayun. Tapos, dun din sa mga students, yun nga, sabi nga ni Aisel, hindi lang tayo basta youth, we are the hope of the future. Ayun.
Okay, so for once more, thank you very much, Leslie and Aisel, our CCSC President and our CCSC Student Welfare and Development Chairperson. Ayan. Maraming salamat sa iyo guys dahil kung wala ang ating first episode of the Canossian Heartbeat. At dito na nga ulit nagtatapos ang ating podcast na Canossian Heartbeat, where your story is our lifeline. At make sure to like our Facebook page, our Instagram, and our Twitter account, all at CCSC High School. Again, all at CCSC High School. And for feedback regarding this episode, you guys can post on your IG stories and tag our IG account. Kung gusto nyo din mag-tweet, feel free to do so. And tune in again next time with us here in Canossian Heartbeat for more talks from our fellow Pusong Canossians. And malay nyo next time, ibang host naman yung makakasama natin. And once again, I am Shante Cortez.
And I am Jedrick Romero. Thank you all for joining us today and listening to our speakers in this episode of the Canossian Heartbeat. So, find your whys and follow your heart.
Thank you. Stay safe, Canossians.